Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Give a Damn podcast. My name is Alana Weinroth. It's so good to be here with you guys. I am excited to keep tuning back in to do my own episodes with you all in between the interviews so that you are getting the most out of listening to this podcast. I think that what I'm learning is that my focus is really on the give a damn about yourself, and bringing guests on, you get to hear how people, one, give a damn about themselves, but two, the ways that they're giving to their community and their neighbors. So that way you really get the full range of the whole purpose behind starting this podcast. In case you haven't checked it out yet, the website is up, giveadamn.community. I'm so excited about it. You can access episodes there. You can buy the apparel, hoodies, and crew neck sweatshirts. And you can also access the YouTube videos. So if you didn't listen to the episode last week with Dr. Cynthia Ganote, it was so good. We're talking about systemic racism and the Black Lives Matter movement. The video is also on there that lives on the YouTube page, so check it out. And I just wanted to remind everyone, if you are enjoying this, please, please, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the algorithm. I really want to continue to spread this mission and reach broader communities. And if you like it, share it with your friends. That would mean so much to me. So now the business is done. Today's episode, before I launch in, was prompted by several different conversations with friends who were going through very different but in the same underlying issue with identity. So I had, one friend who called me who is a mom and a wife and felt like her identity was a little bit lost in that during this time. You become attached to being there for others, and sometimes you forget who you are yourself. And another friend who was applying for a really big job and putting all her attention on that job and all her validation of herself in that job, and then came to the realization that that didn't have to define her, that didn't have to give her self-worth, and so on. And I think that COVID has put a really big flashlight on our identities and how we form our identities. And as you all know, I've been reading these Dr. Joe Dispenza book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, where he talks a lot about going deep within and how we form who we are, a lot of times based off of external factors. So it takes an intentional effort to connect back to the soul and the self in order to find your true identity. So today I want to talk to you about identity, how we form our identities, and the ways that we attach ourselves to things to form them. So I've spoken about this in a previous episode, but I believe and live by the motto that we are a soul having a human experience. I got that from Gabrielle Bernstein, and Wayne Dyer says the same thing. A lot of existential soul, loving people. Oh. I believe and live by the motto that we are a soul having a human experience. I got that. I learned that from Gabrielle Bernstein and Wayne Dyer and a lot of other gurus that I look to for my sort of life advice. So that is who we are at our essence. You come into this world as a brand new soul, and you observe the world and take everything in around you to start forming your personality. You model after the people who parent you. You create habits based off of what you're told to do. You start to identify with the town and state you grew up in, proud Californian, proud New Yorker. But all of this is because by chance, that is where you were brought into this world. But see, as life goes on, you start to attach your identity to achievements like making the all-star softball team or soccer league, being a straight A honor roll student. I identify myself as a Gale because that's the mascot of my college. Being the CEO of a company or a marketing manager, a nurse, a mom, a dad, etc. And all those things are part of our external identity for sure. There's nothing wrong with any of that, especially identifying as a son or a daughter or a mom or a dad. All of that is normal and natural. However, when you connect yourself too much to one identity, there will always come a time that it is not enough anymore and you will want more. We often tell ourselves the narrative that if only we had better grades, made the next level of all-star team, got that job, lost that weight, you would be happy or a better person. But you will always want a better job, more money, more weight loss, a better relationship, a new relationship, etc. We will never be satisfied with what we get to make us happy because there's always going to be more to get. And we will always compare ourselves to other people, as I talk about all the time in the age of social media. That's why true identity has to start from within. And so when COVID hit, there was this, global movement where every single person who was responsibly sheltering in place was stripped of their external identities that they leaned on. Jobs have been lost. Fashion went out the window. We couldn't get our hair or nails done. We're all just home. Heck, some of us even lost our relationships in the midst of this troubling time. And while it is hard and it has rocked our world, it is important. This is the most important year we have ever been through. I do not say that to be insensitive. I think I've said this before. I recognize that people have lost their lives, have been sick, have lost their jobs. All of that is hard. I have definitely dealt with very hard things during this time that have rocked my world as well. But I think the thing is that we are all learning what it feels like to not have the external identities, to not have our comforts that we normally lean on. And what does that feel like when you just lean on yourself, when you just have yourself? I mean, you heard on the podcast last week with Dr. Canote that if white folks had not been home staring at their screens, forced not to leave their homes, George Floyd's death would have gone just as unnoticed as all the other Black men and women who have died and been targeted based on their race. So being that this is an important time of reflection, let's reflect together. This many people have never gone this long without external validation. So for the first time, we were all left alone with our thoughts to really dig deep and ask ourselves who we are. So let's talk about how you can do the work to not be filled up with external factors anymore. What is a process for connecting back to your soul? How do we find our true selves and find true happiness in that? You know I love a checklist. These are just my recommendations for connecting back to self. And I want to say something before I launch into these. I think that if COVID hadn't hit, a lot of us would have gone the rest of our lives without doing this work. You could spend the rest of your lives identifying with the people that you hang out with and the clothes that you wear and the way that you care for your babies and all of those things. So listen to this and really take it with a grain of salt, do what feels good for you, but I really recommend in some way putting some effort into doing these different things. And I'm only going to recommend 4 things for you all to do and start that process of learning who you are without your identity being attached to something outside of you. All right. Number 1, reflection. A daily reflection of self is the most important thing you can do right now. Every single night and sometimes morning, I do a long journal reflection. And sometimes I don't get it all the way through, but I always write something down. Not just detailing my day, but how I truly feel inside. Getting it out on paper is so helpful to really connect yourself. So this is a really simple thing, but when you do your journaling, when you do your reflecting, do not just write about your day. Do not write as if you're writing a book. I want you to write deep down inside, how do you feel? What's come up for you that day? Just how are you connecting to yourself that day? Have you checked in? All of that stuff. Just get it out on paper. I'm a big believer that once it leaves your head and it gets on paper, it loses its power over you. So, number 1, reflection. Number 2, ask yourself the important questions every day. I heard Deepak Chopra say once that every single morning when he wakes up, he asks himself, who am I and what is my purpose? I started doing this a few months ago and it's so moving. Here's the thing, you don't need to answer the question. You just ask yourself the question every day and it will become clearer and clearer to you. But the question is deep rooted in your soul. So the act of just asking your soul self will open up the passageway. Trust me. Number 3, meditation. This one I'm actively still working on, but meditation is the best thing you can do to connect to your deep self. The ritual of connecting to breath and clearing your mind removes all the excess clutter and helps you to really hone in on yourself, but that deep self. Whether it is a guided meditation or just breath work, I can guarantee you that you will feel a lightness and clarity during your meditation that you cannot access any other way. And here's the important thing is repetition. Don't just meditate once and think you're going to get the answers. Doing it every day. Start with once a week, then go to twice a week, and then 3 times a week. Right now, I'm on 3 times a week. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. And do it when it works for you. My new trick, and you can take it or leave it, is that I like to meditate around 2 o'clock when I normally would reach for a snack or I'd hit a slump or I'd start scrolling social media. I instead go and clear my mind. And so again, the idea behind the reflection and the questions and then the meditation is that you're just starting the practice and routine of closing out the external world and connecting to your deep self, your deep soul self. Number 4, make a happiness list. Make a list of the things and activities that you do that bring you pure joy. The reason for this is that a lot of times we connect our happiness to things like clothing, like relationships, like spa services. I'm never gonna not do a little bit of that. Or hanging with your friends. And all of that is totally and completely okay and valid, but if you can also connect to what makes you truly happy within yourself without going external, you can tap into those things more frequently going forward. For me, those things are reading a good book, or taking a really long shower without rushing, or drinking a yummy tea and sitting on my porch and not doing anything. Little things that just connect you back to yourself. So again, now this final stage is to really start to identify the things that make you happy deep down inside without going to an external factor or person to fill you up. So those are my recommendations, you guys. Reflection, questions, meditation, and happiness list. I always like to start things at a really basic level. I think if you can start incorporating these things into your day going forward, you will start to connect to soul self. And I think there's going to be a part 2 to this episode, because I think after we do a little bit of work and we've been in this shelter in place for a while and a lot has gone on, I like to revisit this topic with you all about identity and really check in and see How are we feeling? Are we monitoring our limiting beliefs? Are we connecting to self on a daily basis? I recommend, if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to my happiness episode on the ways that we are truly can be happy. And I think we can really start to become better and show up better for ourselves and love yourself deeper, because that, my friends, is the most important thing that I want you all to get out of every single episode. That's it today, my friends. I hope you enjoy this episode. If you have questions, always please reach out to me, DM me, text me, call me, whatever you want. I love you and I am here for you, and I mean that. This community means so much to me. The feedback from this has been filled up my whole world. So all I want to do is share what I know and help other people. And so it just means so much to me when you tell me that you enjoy this. And if you don't, you can tell me that too, because I'm here for you. That's what I'm here for. So my friends, thank you for listening today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week. I love you. As always, give a damn about your community, give a damn about your neighbor, but most importantly, give a damn about your damn self. Have a great day, my friends.